Did the feds use King Von's name to get a conviction against Oblock? Did the feds use King Von's name to get a conviction against those guys in the murder of FBG Duck? That's very strong because early in this case, there was a lot of talk about King Von involved in this murder trial. As this murder trial started, I didn't hear a lot of news about King Von. Yeah, his name was brought up in that trial, but not to the point where they brought him up as a point of he being behind Duck murder, We finna talk about this. Hit the like button. It's a lot of videos about this. They at the closing argument stage. I was told we gonna get a verdict on this shit in less than 2 weeks. So hit the like button. It push all the older videos down and it push a newer video up. So I'm gonna give a second to hit the like button. But let's talk about King Von. Did he really have anything to do with Duck death? We've been talked about this plenty of times. I think with this case winding down and almost at the end, people want to know. In my opinion, I'm not sure, The shit Von said about Duck was some of the same shit Duck said about Von. We all know these guys don't like each other. They internet beef went viral. Everybody in the world know about this shit. So him saying he got money on Duck, Duck saying he got money on him, I didn't take this as this was real. I took this as this drill coach of these guys rapping, talking shit, and don't like each other. I think the feds used that language and made it real to help get a conviction. See, this is what the feds do that the state police don't do. They put things out in the air so potential jurors can hear about it. They use license plate readers and, they force your family to turn against you and shit, acting like they're gonna take your kids and send you to jail and shit like that. This shit that the state police really don't do. When you really think about it, when I look into the paperwork, don't get me wrong, it's a source, a snitch that said King Von put money on Duckhead. Then they say they got text messages of Kenny Mack saying, we own Duck, Von got money on him. But that's all they really had, They didn't really have any strong shit to say Von was involved in this shit. When Duck died, there was no text messages between any of the Oblock members and King Von. It would have been linked to the press right now. There was no text messages. TZ called D-Thing. We see TZ call Lil Durk brother. We see nothing about King Von on that shit, okay? It was no phone calls. We see no phone records of them calling King Von. King Von wasn't in Chicago. You don't see him in any one of those cars and shit like that. So, to put King Von involved in this crime is kind of crazy. Yeah, he didn't like Duck, but also some of the people that Von knew didn't like Duck. Just to put his name in here and said that he's the reason that this happened, I think that was real strong. And I think the feds knew that, and they used that to place this conviction because they know that King Von had a beef with K.I. They know King Von got diss songs on the internet against, Tuka and shit like that. It's rumored that King Von killed K.I. King Von was cool with O.D. Perry, and then they say O.D. Perry killed Tuka, and then Tuka died. They say O.D. Perry did it. O.D. Perry, a close person to King Von. Oblock name out to O.D. Perry. I think linking King Von to this case was easier to get a conviction against these guys, because now when they tell this story, the jury gonna look at Oblock and them, which is King Von and friends, and they gonna look at them like this because of some of the stories they heard about them. So I think that was a play that the feds used. Now, did Von have anything to do with this? I'm not sure. He probably did. He probably didn't. I'm not here to stamp that. I'm just here to give you my opinions on what I've seen. I think, Oblock and them didn't really know how the feds work. I think they know about state cases. These guys been locked up before. But the feds play a different part. They don't really need all the evidence that most people need, Just to taint the jury by telling these stories of Von and having FBG Duck friends tell stories about Von and having snitches tell stuff about Von and, what Von got to do with this case. But I think if you can make Von look bad, it makes the rest of those guys look bad because those were his close friends, And I think the feds knew this shit. And I think that's one of the reasons why Oblock didn't take the stand. I'm not sure if they didn't realize this, but in my opinion, it wasn't anything that could really link them to that case, It wasn't any murder weapons found at the crime scene. They all had masks on. Nobody snitched on each other. The feds didn't really have enough evidence, in my opinion, to lock these guys up. I think that's what they thought. In the Fed case, they don't really need all that, And I think these guys might have made a mistake by not getting on the stand, There's no murder weapons. Nobody told on each other. There's really no physical evidence as far as fingerprints on bullets and shit like that. I think that's enough to get on the stand and say, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with this shit. But I think these guys understood that, they don't have to prove that they innocent. Y'all got to prove that they guilty. And I don't think they thought that the feds had enough evidence And I think the feds, instead of using evidence and using a murder weapon and using a motive and using this, having people snitching, having these people, they didn't have that. I think they went the other angle where, telling you these stories and hypotheticals that'll make you believe these guys were up to this shit. And then again, they claim they got information. They got these guys getting in cars and shit. In my opinion, Duck death was very sloppy. It was spur of the moment. You could tell them, motherfucker, gotta call me. And they was going to get them because nobody thought about this. According to the feds, people used their own cars. They were texting on the phones. It was phones on the hit and all kind of shit. So this just seems sloppy. But in my opinion, I'm not 100% sure. I studied the case. I looked at the case. I didn't see anything that says that King Von had something to do with Duck death. It did show that King Von had a hatred against Duck, and that a source said that Von put money on Duck head. I didn't see the feds say anything about Von was the main guy who put this hit on Duck. I didn't see that. But they did tell stories of King Von hating Duck, though. But I wanted to tell you that because a lot of people talk about that. Is King Von involved in this? I'm not sure, but I do think the feds used King Von's name to help get this conviction. He wasn't on a hit. He wasn't called. He wasn't arrested at that time. He had multiple cases going on at that time that I think the feds would have been quick to grab him and shit like that. And I don't think that happened. Now, would he would have been charged if he was still alive? That's another thing. His name is in that paperwork, so I do believe they probably would have tried to charge him. But do I think he had any involvement in Duck death? I'm not sure about that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Home and True.